Hey guys, welcome to the podcast as someone who doesn't read comics, where we read and review comics. I'm Becca.
I'm Paul.
And I'm still Brian.
Oh, cool. We'll let you know, keep updates on that if Brian changes.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed I will.
He probably will. That'd be funny. This week, we actually sat down and we read, Superman Red Sun. So not a traditional Superman story, but Superman all the same. As usual, we'll be going through story, and art without spoilers, and then we'll go into the spoiler section where we will mark it very well that it is a spoiler section, so if you want to stop listening, that is the point to stop listening at. So on to story. Superman Red Sun is a alternate universe comic, is the nicest way to put it.
Elseworld's tale, I think
someone
said.
That's the term I believe that they use in the comic book.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think it's a commonly used term now, so I think most people would, but I've heard Elseworld before as well. Basically it's just, the writer, so we have, the writer's Mark Miller, who confused us a lot because we were thinking that it was Frank Miller, who was a completely different person. We also have, Dave Johnson and Killian Pludket.
This has become my favorite part of our podcast, where we try and pronounce
pronouncing. Like, literally, the first name's Killian, so it's K-I-L-I-A-N. Then the last name's P-L-U-N-K-E-T-T, so Plunkett.
Plunkett.
And it looks really, like, I don't know, it looks really cool in, like, the Russian typewriting that's on the front of
Oh, yeah.
the cover.
Yeah.
You know. But, so,
Plunkett.
basically, what Mark Miller did was, Mark Miller was like, you know what would be really weird? Like, I mean, the basic storyline of Superman is he lands in, America, in Kansas?
Kansas, yep.
In Kansas, gets raised by, his foster parents, so on and so forth, becomes Superman. His general thought was, well, what happened if he landed somewhere else, and picked the very drastic point of what if he landed in, Russia during the Cold War? Which, well, not during, like, before, and then the Cold War happened. So it was really cool, actually. I enjoy this alternate universe look at a very American, iconic superhero.
Yeah, I like, the back of the, trade that we have actually sums it up best when they do their alternate universe version of the Superman description from like the old TV shows where they have the, strange Superman, strange visitor from another world who can change the course of mighty rivers, bend steel in his bare hands, and who, as a champion, but then they change it to this one, as the champion of the common worker, fights a never-ending battle for Stalin, socialism, and the international expansion of the Warsaw Pact, as opposed to truth, justice, and the American way, which I thought, that made me giggle.
Yeah, it was just really cool.
Yeah.
I like the parallelisms.
Yeah, there's a lot of parallelisms in the, and we'll talk about that later in a little bit more depth, but there's a lot.
I mean, the beginning half of the story, you get that, Superman, Clark Kent, well, I mean, I guess his name isn't Clark, they hide his name, they don't ever say it, cause I guess they want to keep his family, whatever. Literally, his name is Superman throughout the whole thing. You don't ever hear what his Russian given name is.
I assume whatever it is, none of us would be able to pronounce it anyway.
Yeah.
And we can't even do
Plunkett.
Plunkett.
But I like to believe it's Clark Kandensky.
Kondenskakov?
Vodka.
Yep.
That's the hyphen.
That is our knowledge of Russian. But no, basically the story starts.
Apologize to all of Russia.
Yeah, I know.
We're starting that alienating people really quick this time. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, basically, it starts out and you don't get to see really Clark grow up, but you assume, he landed in a farmland. So you assume just basically he gets bought up like any person would in Russia or any other country really, where you learn the do's and don'ts of your country, the government, the morals of your country and things like that, where, like, obviously communism is very high, up in Russia and that stuff. You get to a point, basically Superman's already found his powers. He has them. Joseph Stalin has basically taken him under his wing and been like, well, this is my Superman. Beware America. And he's basically the symbol of, literally his symbol is changed to the sickle and hammer. He is the symbol of Russia and their power, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, then it basically, it just picks right up where, as you said, you don't see a lot of his upbringing. It goes right into him entering the world stage, with a lot of interesting twists on, we found, on a lot of different iconic Superman covers and things, and which I guess we'll go into more detail in the art section. But so yeah, it's an interesting little look at what would happen if Superman actually crash landed just like 12 hours later on the other side of the world.
I'm making faces at this one because that wouldn't have happened.
Well,
and they mentioned that specific. Hey, if Superman had crashed 12 hours later, he'd be in America. No, the Earth probably would have moved slightly. Rotation doesn't work like that. Exactly.
Well,
I didn't get what, like, literally this was brought up, like, they're looking at the Americans, because the Americans are obviously talking about, you know, like, oh man, Superman, and they mention a lot, like, a lot in the first couple pages, but then it kilters off, but in the beginning it's like, oh man, this war really would have been changed if he had landed in America, but like, literally somebody says for some odd reason, if only he had landed 12 hours later, and I was like, that's a weird, like, why didn't you just say if he landed in America? Like, why did you have to bring math into this and the rotation of the Earth? Like, what? Why did you even do that? And yeah, like, I'm fairly certain maybe at 12 hours, the Earth would have been in a different position, and it would have just flown past. Maybe you would have been a Mars kid. Who knows?
Oh, that
would have been like,
that really...
Him and Martian Manhunter.
He really would have been a red sun. Oh! Boom! Not scripted. Okay. Sorry. Okay.
Oh, that was good. I enjoyed that.
Okay.
You know, the story continues. You get introductions of a lot of the old characters that you know from Superman. So Lex Luthor's in this. He's an American. He's a doctor. He's still like the world's smartest man type of thing. Constantly, like, you meet up with him and he's literally doing like 18 chess matches while reading a book while talking to a guy about like world things. He's married to Lois Lane or Lois Luthor. So you do get a moment where Superman and Lois meet each other and it's like, oh, I felt like in a different time we would be together, and it's really weird. It's like, okay, I get it. You know, it's shoved in my face, but whatever.
Oh. Alright, no, that didn't bother me as much as others apparently, but okay.
Well, after 15 of those right before that, like 15 of, if he had landed 12 hours earlier, or I wonder if things would have been different in a different time, in a different universe, like the first couple of pages do every third panel, that.
But it does dip off. It happens within the first couple of pages, but then dips. Lex Luthor is basically just, commissioned, I guess is the word. He's commissioned by the United States government to get rid of Superman, which he takes up fully and becomes Superman's rival, as it would be in any situation. Also, we get to see Wonder Woman, or Diana, in this. She pops up, and her mom, I forget what her mom's name is, but she appears for like 10 seconds, and it's like, oh man, I'm an ambassador.
I can never pronounce it. It's like Hippolyta or...
Oh, Hippolyta, yeah.
Hippolyta, okay.
Yeah. Alright, that was gonna bother me. Thank you.
There's a lot of Russian names that I'm not gonna be able to pronounce. Joseph Stalin's in this. He's, like I said, he's the leader, and is basically takes Superman under his wing and raises him, and basically wants Superman to take over when he's gone. Although you also get a look at, his illegitimate son, I can't pronounce his name. It's like, Pytor? It's like Pytor or something like that. It is a heavily Russian name.
It's like Pietor or something?
Pietor, yeah.
Pytor,
yeah, we'll go.
We're butchering this, we'll skip it.
Illegitimate son. Well, he becomes semi-important in the storyline, but basically, being the illegitimate son, but the son of Joseph Stalin, who would probably have taken over, he has some ill will towards, Superman.
Also, he's the head of the KGB.
Yes, which is also another important.
And murders some kid's parents.
Yes. He goes over and, like, you know, like, Superman's like, oh, I don't see what's so wrong about running the KGB, and then he's like, I killed the kid's parents. And, like, it's like, the kid stared at me. And that was the introduction of, that part, but, you know, basically, you know, like, the freedom that they have isn't, you know, at the cost of things. Yep. Had some deep meanings that I can't express using words. Read the book.
Which is, yeah, I will say, yeah, it's a fun book when you look at it. It's basically the simplest way to describe the plot before we go, you know, into spoilery details of things is, it's just, what would Superman be like if he took his, you know, he's known as the, you know, the Boy Scout, at least a lot of times in the animated shows, you know, the Boy Scout of the DC universe, was raised to wholeheartedly believe in the ideals of communism.
Which is, they're decent ideals.
Yeah.
I mean, that every man is created, every person is created equally and all that stuff. That everybody should help everybody. And basically, what Superman is aiming for is a utopia. Like, he sees, he obviously helps people in Russia and helps people all around the world, really. And his main goal is to make sure everybody's safe, which is a good, it's a good value. It's not like Superman's bad.
Yeah.
He's just the values are different.
Yeah, his core character traits of wanting to help everyone is the same, which is balanced really well in this alternate world. It's nicely rooted in the actual character.
Yeah, especially even with the ideals of communism, it makes sense that Superman would latch onto that.
Yeah, so it's a good jumping off spot for a comic, and the execution is done, I think, very well. So.
Hey, Bizarro also pops up in these first couple issues. Lex Luthor's first. Basically, what Lex does is he makes up this plan. He sabotages a Soviet satellite. The satellite starts falling towards an American city. I believe it's like New York. It's where the Daily Planet is. Metropolis, right?
Metropolis,
there we go. So it falls towards that. Superman, obviously, like I was saying before, helps people. So he rushes over, gets the satellite, and makes sure it doesn't fall on anything. Stuff happens, basically he just saves the world. Then Lex takes the satellite and I assume gets DNA or, the equivalent of off of it from Superman, and clones him and makes Bizarro. It's really actually kind of cool because obviously, because Bizarro is being used by the United States, he actually has an emblem similar. He has the Superman outfit that you would know, and then has the US as opposed to the S. Which is cool, because, basically, he's a United States weapon. I was like, oh, that's an interesting take on things.
Yeah.
But yeah, he fights Superman, and Superman beats crud out of him. Actually, no, Bizarro, what happens?
Here, we'll spoiler that one.
Well, because this is still, less spoilery. Something happened, a rocket or something goes off. Yeah, there's a rocket going off. And, apparently, Superman and Bizarro look at each other, because one of them has to save the people from dying, and basically Bizarro freezes Superman and then runs off, takes the rocket and runs into space and dies from the explosion, which was a cool, very, good humanitarian act. And Superman the point was Superman would have done it, but Bizarro did, so it was cool. It was interesting.
Lex Luthor almost did too good a job at, cloning Superman in that one, which, it's a nice, interesting take on a Bizarro. So
and then to wrap up the story section, Joseph Stalin does die, and then Superman end up taking up the mantle, and then the rest of the story goes into how Superman runs communist Russia and what he does, so on and so forth, what Lex Luthor does next to combat Superman and all that other stuff. So that is the basic wrap up of the story. Any comments?
No, that's pretty good.
Yeah, that summarizes the first bit. Yeah, it's basically, it ends on the note of what would Superman do if he inherited didn't take it. He just inherited power for the good of people. What would happen next?
Yeah, and he does it in a really good way because literally the whole time he's because what's his face, Pytor or whatever his name is, he keeps arguing. He's like, well, Stalin's gonna die and you're gonna take it, right, Superman? Because that's what everybody wants. And, he's just basically being a big jerk about it. But Superman's like, no, I don't want to get into politics. I just want to save people. That's all I want to do. And, basically he just constantly wants to be, almost, not a weapon, but, basically a superhero constantly to save people. But then he finds, an old friend from the farm, and she's literally waiting in line to get food, and people are like, I haven't eaten for weeks, and there's no food to give out. And at that point, he, says, well, okay, no, I will, this is the best way for me to fix everything. I can't do it on my own. I need to become a political leader. So he takes up the mantle at that point. So it's a good, yet again, a Superman good reason to take up and become a world leader, to interfere, Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was just hammering in the fact that most of his decisions and any decision he makes is pretty much what he feels is the good for all of people, all of kind.
Yeah.
Yep. And then next section is going to be art, so we'll discuss the art if somebody wants to take that up.
Yep. Okay, I guess I'll jump in here real fast. Like I briefly mentioned earlier, that the art itself is it's an interesting style. It's very angular, a lot of the faces, with some good background detail. But what I really liked about it was there's a couple references to classic Superman comic covers. Like there's one part where Superman is talking about how there's trouble all over the globe, he can't be everywhere at once and everything. And one of the things that's being shown on a screen, about what's happening around the world is there's it's Superman Action Comics. I think it was I don't know,
number one.
I think it's number 1. Where it's his first appearance, where he's holding. It's an iconic one. I'm sure you could look it up if you really wanted to. But he's holding the car.
He's holding the car, and like it looks like almost looks like he's smashing into a rock, but he's not. He's saving people.
Yeah, it looks like Superman's about to just take this car full of people and just go, "Hey, look at this rock!" But especially with a screaming man in the front corner of it too. Like, I don't know. Okay, I'm getting really off topic, but basically, there's it's a slightly different spin on that, where the car is flipped over and.
In riots and stuff.
Yeah, like there's riots in the United States, and they're trying to flip the car. It's a bunch of people flipping the car back over instead of him because he's not there, and it was an interesting artistic nod to other cars. That was a subtly done what if, as opposed to some of the other, if it only had been this way, ... Yeah,
I mean, there's a lot of nod. I mean, maybe not so iconic like the first cover of Action Comics where Superman appeared, but like even stuff like the Globe newspaper, the Globe
Daily
for
Planet.
The Daily
Yeah,
Planet.
there.
Sorry,
Right. No, that's
the
fine.
Globe of the Daily Planet falls off the building, and Superman catches it, but he does that iconic he's holding it over his back, and there's people underneath. And he's like there's a lot of just very almost Superman-y looking poses and things. They've probably been in comics all along. I know I've seen them in the cartoons.
Yeah, I feel like there's probably 1 million of those in this book, but none of us are well enough versed to have picked those out. So in the comments, you can go ahead and point out all the things that we miss after we're done. But no, in seriousness, there's a lot of just hidden little things that they've done with this, and it's like Paul was saying with the car and things like that. Superman's not here and things. But there's a lot of references and kind of almost direct correlations between some of the other comics and this one, and what this alternate reality, how those same instances happen.
Personally, I mean, yet again, I don't know if this is bad or good. I didn't notice the artwork too much. It didn't get in the way too much. Where I could say Batman and Walking Dead was there were very dark styles, and they meshed really well with the storyline, everything like that. I didn't really, I can't say I can bring anything up about the artwork or say anything about it. It was good. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't...
It was generic?
Yeah, it was very much, well-drawn people, well-drawn everything. It's just nothing was abnormal or stuck out or, it was still good. It's just...
Faces were good.
Yeah, faces were really good.
Facial expressions were good, especially for there's a bunch of political figures.
I hated the yellow text on a red background. There's parts where Superman is monologuing, and it happens all throughout the book. And it's just this bright yellow text on this dark red background, and it's really hard to see. It's uncomfortable to look at, and while it's not unreadable, it's not ideal. And I understand, we're going for communist colors and things like that, but you could have done red and black or something like that, or...
It didn't bother me as much, actually, at all. It didn't bother me. But although, I mean, I can say, when it comes to, bright blues, I don't see. So, I mean, it might be, eyesight, where my eyes don't like the blue spectrum, but they like the red and yellow. So, I don't know if that's a thing.
Becca's just saying your eyes are weird, I think, is the basic moral of that story. But
I'm not saying that it was, hard. It was just not a good color scheme to put together for text. And the text, with it being, that comic-y text...
I liked it. It didn't bother me at all. I liked it. That was my point. I liked it. It didn't affect my reading whatsoever.
And to balance things out, I was kind of indifferent to it. You had mentioned it, and I'm like, was there? Oh yeah, there was. But I don't really know. That's more of I don't think that's the artist so much as the text set or whoever, the editor, who... Yeah,
there's people who separately do the text. It's not the artist usually, but, which, I mean, we can discuss in the art section. I don't think that's...
Oh yeah, no, I wasn't trying to shoot it down.
Nothing else was ever bad.
Also, remind me, there's a chunk of art that I want to describe because there's 2 characters that pop up later for the spoiler section. I want to do art on both of them because they're really awesomely drawn and there's some really neat details, but they're spoilers that they're here. So some of the extra characters that are in the book that show up later that are relatively main, really, really cool. Some of the designs and some of the different things are awesome, and we'll get to those in a minute.
Yeah, like Paul was saying, the faces are really well done, and it's because obviously it's set in Cold War where there's actual political figures that you should know. There's a lot, they did really well, like Joseph Stalin, like they're literally like, this is Stalin, look at him! But there's a couple characters where they're just talking to the person, and you could tell even before reading the text bubbles who that person was based on their face, even if they were aged more than most of their pictures or anything like that. Like, they were drawn very well, the characters were done very well, where I could notice all of even though I don't do history very well, I could notice all of these.
Yeah, like, particularly,
characters.
like, the JFK that's in there.
Yeah.
Like, I looked at that, I'm like, it's John F. Kennedy!
Yeah, it was good, and it was, yeah, a little bit over the section, but yeah, no, it's, they did really well with that, with all those.
Yeah, I think, I was going to make a comment about you say, hey, look, it's Stalin, but they actually kind of do, someone does almost say, hey, look, it's Stalin at one point.
Yeah, like,
not so many words, but it's like, oh, this is Stalin. But yeah, one last thing I wanted to comment on the art. I should have said it earlier, but I really liked in between, I don't know if they were the different covers or not, but separating the chapters, there's these full-page spread where it looks like, some of them look like propaganda pieces from like the 50s, 60s, in the Art Deco sign. So, it's an interesting kind of stylistic choice there that I like. They did a very good job of recreating the tone of the time period, if that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, no, like, you can even picking up the trade, like, literally the first thing you see is, it looks like a folded poster, and it's Superman over the world with a red flag, and he's got his, symbol of the sickle and the hammer blatantly on his chest. Like, the cover looks like propaganda from, that time period. So, it was very
and
interesting.
well done propaganda at that.
I would be on Superman's side. I don't know about you guys.
Better red than
Dead?
capitalist. I'm trying to think of how you'd spin that.
I mean...
Yeah, he doesn't kill anybody, so I guess it can't be better red than dead.
Yeah. Well, better under the benevolent dictatorship of a super being than not? Don't hire me to write slogans. I don't think I'm qualified to do that.
One last really quick quip on art, sorry. I really like the designs of the new costumes. Superman is pretty much in the same costume, but he does have differences to the costume that make it, that just make it different in a way. And some of the other characters come in and they do have different costumes. Like, his colors are different. He actually, the red cape still, obviously, but, that was a sign of communism. And then, like, a gray outfit instead, which was cool. I liked it. And there'll be more characters later on that have different costumes too, and we'll discuss that in the spoiler section. But they did really well with making new costumes for iconic people.
Mm-hmm.
It's really cool. Any other art?
No, I think that's a good place to segue into spoilers, because there's more art to talk about, but we can't talk about them.
Yeah,
it's way spoilerific.
Yeah, so
Spoilerific.
So the point is, read the book and then come back and read your spoiler section, because this is great. There's a lot of stuff to talk about. So yeah, up ahead, spoilers.
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 Vroom spoilers.
Spoilerific definition. Make the fanboys loco. You said spoilerific. I had to throw it in there.
Spoiler-tastic. Spoilicious.
Ooh. I guess.
Rosebud is a sled.
Boom.
Done. Okay.
Hammer drops. And sickle. Drop mic.
But then pick it up and hand it to somebody else.
And share it, because that's the basic.
That's, this is too much Canada.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know if we're doing communism anymore, or we're doing like some kids' TV show about the importance of sharing.
But no, I really...
Now I'm thinking of a communist Bob the Builder. Sorry.
I really, really like this book. I really. The story continues, Superman takes over, literally the whole plot point and the whole everything is Superman is, literally the plot of the whole book and the moral of the story is Superman is trying to make a utopia by taking away people's freedom. And freedom is good, so the United States rebels because that's what the United States does at any time
USA.
that our freedom is compromised. Which, it creates a great deal of unrest in America, because even there's Americans that are like, well, no offense, but I like having food and money and living in, because I mean, no offense, like, Superman's taken over most of the world except for the United States, and the rest of the world has no crime, there hasn't been accidents, people live longer, like, ridiculous stats. So, like, no offense, I would probably be like, dude, I'm probably starving on the street, so really, I would like communist America right now. It looks really good.
I feel like this podcast is going to get us all, like, if there's ever a new McCarthy era kind of thing. Isn't it true that you said that you would live in a communist America? And then just out of context soundbite that we've provided the internet.
Gonna go to jail.
We'll have
guys.
to follow it up with both of us chanting USA.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. But yeah, it's, so you got that, and then the rest of it's the basic Luthor versus Superman, in a sense, where
Luthor's still, like, Luthor's the good guy, kinda. He's on USA side, basically,
No, Luthor's the good guy. You had it right.
Well, he's not, he's still not good, because literally his driving factor is, I need to defeat Superman, and he literally, like, the first thing he did, like we talked about, he took down a Soviet satellite in the middle of Metropolis. Like, if for some odd reason Superman was sleeping, that satellite would have hit Metropolis. Like, he didn't have any backup plan. Like, literally, he was gonna kill a ton of people.
Because he knew Superman was gonna be there.
Yeah, I mean, but my point is...
It doesn't make him a Luthor
he's
can't just...
willing to sacrifice millions of lives. The point is, Superman's still the good guy. Like, his morals are still towards the good side, and it's so weird, because Lex is bad, but on the good side, and Superman's good, but on the bad side. It's such a weird gray topic.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Luthor, he could point a gun at someone and shoot at Superman. Say, "Oh, I knew you would save him." Well, yeah, you still shot at a guy. Like,
because it's still so weird. Because, like, even at the end, he corrects all of the United States problems. He becomes president and makes everything better. He fixes the economy. He feeds everybody. Like, everything's great. He literally does it for the plan to kill Superman. Like, would he have done this otherwise? Like, it's, like, so weird. Like, he has such a moral gray area for Luthor. It's really cool. I enjoy it.
Yeah, he didn't do it for any righteous reason. I'm not saying that. He did it because he wanted the challenge of beating Superman, which happened.
He divorces his wife because of Superman. He's so, like, he just does some weird thing. He kills all of his scientists at a point. Like, he's just like, well, I destroyed all the evidence, and he's, like, literally standing around like dead bodies. It's like, and I'm gonna go do something else.
Cool.
Like, it's like, you still understand that he's still not a good guy. Like, it's so weird.
Yeah, it was interesting in that, like, from, once again, my knowledge of actual comic events is kind of limited, but from what I've picked up and established from other things, Luthor always started out as kind of like just a mad scientist, villain of the week, and only more recently became like a smoother, savvier politician. So it was kind of fun to see him just be like, oh, well, this plan didn't work. I'll just shoot these guys that were helping me and move on to something new. Because basically this is, I'm bored.
Where's that rug that I used to sweep things under?
Luthor rug.
I don't know Superman all that well, and I don't know Lex Luthor even less well. He has hair for most of this.
Yeah,
almost all of it. In the regular universe, does he choose to shave his head, or does he lose his hair because of Superman?
Tales.
Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, he loses his hair later on, but I mean, he's old, and you see his hair receding throughout the
he's
comic.
Like 160 or something like that at the end.
Yeah, so it made sense, but it was really weird just to be like, oh, you have hair, okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Huh, it's a good question.
I don't. If you guys know, let us know. But
it's probably that kryptonite that never shows up. Maybe it's giving him cancer or something.
Cancer. Yeah, they never bring up kryptonite in this one, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, it took away the. Yeah.
I guess it has to do with the spoilerific ending sequence, which is that Superman leaves basically and says, "Oh well, Utopia." Like basically, he finds the moral of I'm taking away their freedom and leaving that. Like basically, looks at Brainiac, and Brainiac does the same thing, and he's like, "Brainiac's a bad guy, so I'm a bad guy." He leaves. Lex takes over the world basically, but it doesn't take over the world, but leads them into a better world. everybody lives longer, everybody's IQs go up, blah, 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 blah. The sun explodes, or starts to explode, turns red, and then Luther the Third or something, I forget what the kid's name, it's one of Luther's kids. They start
It's
naming
like
them. Yeah, it's like JL. They start putting L's at the bottom. Yeah, I was gonna say, they start putting L's at the end of their name, cause I guess they so many Luthers. Names his kid, Kyle, KL?
There's Alex L, so it goes from, Lena Luther to Lombard Luther to Lori Luth, 145, the mathematician, I don't know what that's all about. Jordan Luth, Alex L, Jordan L, Lana L, and then there's Lex Luthor's, grandson to the power of 50 called Jor-El, which is kinda, if you know...
You get into, it evolves into Krypton, which, like obviously the original story, where, he's on Krypton, his dad's name is Jor-El.
Mm-hmm.
So this is Jor-El, and Superman's name, and here, he's the kid that gets sent off the planet back in time because the sun's about to explode, it's red. So he's
Kal-El.
Kal-El.
Yeah, if they didn't
like
change it.
K-A-L-L. And then he gets sent back and then the whole thing happens again, which was cool. I thought it was interesting. I thought it was really cool just cause it's the last couple pages that they discuss the Luthor lineage. And it just blew my mind when they were like, Jor-El, and I was like, oh, that sounds kind of familiar. And then it was like, oh man, I need to send my son Kal-El to the past. And I was like, what? Like, it just blew my mind was like,
but at the end, it still bothered me that they were that a descendant of Luthor who's supposed to be this super high intelligent person doesn't know to not only get off the planet because he just said, I just went to a meeting and told them that the sun's going to explode and nobody wants to leave. They established that you've established colonies all throughout the solar system and the galaxy, like pages before. Like Luthor did it. Lex Luthor did it. Why don't you just go to another planet?
Did they say galaxies? I thought they just said the solar system.
I don't know if they specified. They said off-world.
I assume that if Lex got through the solar system, but then his descendants probably left the solar system.
Okay, but see, here's
by the age of 120, the entire solar system had been colonized.
Yes, so that's by the age of 120 from him. Well, no, and then you have all of his descendants. You could safely assume that they left the solar system.
Right, but this all comes down to the whole point that
they have time travel.
No, the point that the comic is trying to make is that the Earth is Krypton. And if you understand that as its core concept, then the idea is that Krypton, from at least the animated series and the Superman movie, basically bureaucrats took over to the point where, yes, there could be a problem, but it's too much hassle and could create public unrest. And that's why Jor-El's whole plan and things was to just, well, fine, we'll have to get off world, but there's not enough time, so we'll send our son in the tiny rocket. Blip. There you go. And the whole thing is that, yes, they were on other planets, and that's where, depending on the continuity, what was it? It was, Supergirl, I think, is technically a Kryptonian or nearby planet living person. So yes, they were off-world, but the idea is, the main point you're supposed to be focusing on is that Earth is Krypton, and that they send the rocket off. So that answers a lot of the questions about why, because you've been told why in previous incarnations, also, that's what makes it cool.
Just because we can make it to the other planets of the the other planets of the solar system is going to take us maybe if you make it to Pluto, well, Pluto's not a planet. So if you make it to Neptune, it's 800 years, I think is at our current speed. It's 800 years, something like that. The next planet out is 10 million times that length.
True.
To make it to that next galaxy. So if we only built in the solar system, we didn't.
But if he knew this was a thing that was happening.
But he wanted to save Earth. He wanted to save the people. He was politically going to the bureaucrats and saying, no, we need to move everybody off. And then eventually was like, well, you know what? I'll try saving this, but I don't want my son dying. I don't care if these bureaucrats keep everybody else on this planet. My son is not going to be part of this stupid, continual bureaucratic crud.
Yeah. So
I leave it because it's not. I would assume obviously that's not the main. It's obviously not an accepted storyline for Superman because it is an alternate universe.
Mm-hmm.
So it's completely different. It just blew my mind that it was
the
awesome red sun,
idea.
The red sun. So he gets the power from the all of the story elements still existed, which goes back to the point we were talking about Kryptonite. would he have kryptonite? Because he's not on Krypton. So, like, would there be a rock that came back with it?
I assumed
like,
that it
is
would
that
be
weird?
they would bring rocks back with him.
Yeah.
Would be the point. Now, granted, that just adds even more. Like, that's always been a problem for me. Is so the ground that you walk on from your home planet is deadly to you. Now, I get it also. I mean, I guess it also comes in with the yellow sunlight thing, but you know.
Which was cool. Batman, speaking of
Oh,
which,
yeah, here we go.
That was actually where I
yeah.
was about to jump to.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you want to discuss it.
Batman, we mentioned that the head of the KGB killed a kid's parents. That kid becomes Batman and hates communism and is a freedom fighter, and is the only person who's apparently capable of beating Superman according to some other people.
Yeah.
He leads an entire group of Batmen. He has a fuzzy hat and he's awesome.
I
But
don't
what's-
think
he
I don't-
didn't
he
lead
didn't
them.
lead Batman's. When he died, Batman's came after him. Basically, they people dressed up as Batman. There was people who were with him. I don't think anybody else dressed like Batman when he was
Okay.
around. I just
Yeah, it became
clarifying.
they pulled like a Dark Knight thing where I'm not wearing hockey pads kind of thing. Only he was still. It was after his death, so no one was there to. That whole song
Okay.
and dance rigmarole. Also, hat. Can we talk about his
that
Russian
hat was
that hat?
awesome.
Batman had a hat on, and it was awesome. And you need to look it up if you.
yeah. He's like one of those it's got the fuzzy front to it, like those,
There's a name for this specific
I
hat
know.
that none of us know.
It's like I can think of it like a logging hat where it's got the ears that come down and then it's got the one fuzzy section on the top, on the front. But, and then he also still has the bat ears attached to it. It's pretty cool.
Also, he has, his batarangs because he's not rich because there's no money in communism.
Well, he lost his parents
Yeah,
and
he
they
lost his
weren't
parents,
rich
yeah.
people. They were just regular people who were against communism, hence
Yeah.
why they got killed.
But, like, his batarangs have, like, nuts and bolts attached to them, and it's, like, that's where I wanted
He
to go in the art
like
section.
openly like talks about stealing stuff from the military. He's like, oh, well, I stole that stuff last week. Like, it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very makeshift and everything like that. And if there's any point in the book where the art really shines, it's Batman's design and all of his stuff, and then Brainiac.
I love, going back to real quick, Batman. I love Batman's design because his costume is still, like, it's still black and dark, but it's more just outfit. It's not so, like, the main thing is his ears, but past that, everything else is still just a regular jacket with a bat on it, and regular pants, and boots, and he's got a belt
and
that it has a thing
it's
set to.
gear, and it looks like things that you could regularly acquire. Like, you could probably go to, like, a military surplus store in Russia and acquire everything that Batman had.
It was really cool. I like the design on Batman.
Yes.
Brainiac was really cool. I liked.
Yeah, they did some fun stuff, like spin-off Elseworld things with Brainiac, where instead of, I'm trying to think, it was...
He shows up and, like, Lex Luthor, like, convinces him, I guess, or he does something where Brainiac attacks Superman in the beginning, and Superman gets rid of him.
He shrinks Stalingrad into a bottle.
Rather than Kandor, that's the city, I think. Kandor, in the animated stuff and comics, was a city on Krypton that Brainiac, like, shrunk and kept in a little bottle, but now it was Stalingrad, which I'm like, that's kind of funny.
Yeah. But, basically Superman doesn't know how to do it, to undo that. He destroys Brainiac. And then I guess later on when he becomes all-powerful communist leader man, brings Brainiac back in a much smaller body. Like, it's an actual, like, robotic body looking thing. It's pretty cool looking.
Like, reprograms him to be like a helper, apparently, and help monitor the situations around the world.
But what's interesting through the entire thing about Brainiac is that Brainiac has to know how to get Stalingrad out of a bottle. You know how to put something in there, you know how to get it out.
But that's not
generally.
his programming.
Yeah.
His programming
He
is the store.
to collect and store. There's
I think he mentions that, like, Superman's all like, you sure you don't know how to do this? And he's like, no, my only programming is to not do that.
I
Although
feel
you
like
still,
that's a lie.
You still get you get the feeling that Brainiac's
Probably
still really smart as he's supposed to be, and he's not, you get the feeling he's leading Superman down the wrong path in some choices, and that he's also, like, maybe not the wrong path, but like Lex Luthor comes in and faces Superman, like, literally face to face, and goes like, oh, well, my plan's working out, blah, 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 and literally, like, Superman wouldn't attack Lex Luthor, because he didn't want to attack anybody ever. He didn't want to kill people, he didn't want to do whatever. And Brainiac literally goes, no, he's too intelligent, he's gonna make you do suicide or something else. I'm getting rid of him and takes him out. And Superman's like, well, I guess, you're smarter and you know what's gonna happen, and I guess it's a good idea. But, like, otherwise Superman wouldn't have done that. So, like, you get this feeling of Brainiac's really leading him around to some of the choices that he's making.
Yeah. Which, ultimately, he is.
Yeah.
So, so, good foreshadowing. But also, I like the line, like you said, Lex Luthor would have talked you into suicide in 14 minutes, I think in less than 14 minutes, which I'm like,
Which
that's
then
cool.
happens well, not really, but basically Lex Luthor talks him out of doing what he's gonna do. Yeah, no, it was interesting.
That's, other characters, I guess, that show up a little bit. We mentioned, Wonder Woman shows up, at one point.
I like her story arc, cause, like, Superman, Superman literally, I guess he kinda shows an affection for the hometown girl, but she's married and has kids. So whatever. He has that 2 seconds with Lois Lane, and I guess Lois Lane continually thinks about him, but, like that whole, like, if it was in another universe. But apparently never thinks of Wonder Woman in any affectionate way, but Wonder Woman does about him. It's just so on and so forth, but she stays as his right-hand man type of thing. Until, basically Batman, which was cool, would use red lamps.
Solar lamp, yeah.
Red solar lamps, so basically it was the red sun, so he no longer had any powers to beat him up and shove him into, like, a isolated camp. And then Wonder Woman had to break her lasso, which was a weird thing, but I thought it was cool that she did it. She frees Superman, breaks the generator for the lights, Superman gets out and he beats the crap out of Batman explodes because he has a bomb in him. And he tells Superman, Batman tells Superman that Pytor, or whatever his name is, gave Batman information on how to beat Superman. And, like, literally, like, some Wonder Woman's like, oh my god, she looked like she aged, and she's, like, really actually hurt, and she's literally suffering, like, 2 inches away, and Superman is so, like, focused on the fact that Pytor did
was a
this.
traitor.
Yeah, did this, and it gives you that, like, thought of, like, Wonder Woman gave it her all, and Superman just did not care for her, or...
Also, going back to the lasso
'cause
breaking, we had this conversation over dinner tonight. We actually had to look up how the lasso broke.
Which we don't normally do. Also.
Yeah,
no, this was a point of contention, and it was the only thing so far out of any of these that we have had to look up because it's bothered us so much.
Yeah, we had minimal knowledge of the lasso. Like, it's the lasso of truth.
It makes you tell the truth.
Makes you tell the truth. It's unbreakable.
Yeah, we thought it was really strong and or unbreakable, and then it breaks in the comic. It's kind of a key point. So it's like, well, how...
But we kind of wanted to look it up because we weren't sure if it was unbreakable or if that was something, so we looked it up.
So according to what we found, and this may or may not be 100% true, the lasso only generally will break if the truth itself is under contention.
So, like, there was, like, somewhere online was saying that, like, somebody was telling the truth and Wonder Woman didn't believe him.
So he could break out.
It would basically be like, I am your father, like Luke, and, Luke would be like, no, that's not true, and then Vader would break out of the lasso because it was the truth. They didn't believe the truth or want to believe the truth.
Mm-hmm.
So he broke the lasso.
Or, she lassos, like, a fictional character, and because the
true.
character isn't real, I guess?
Yeah, there was some weird...
Or is the embodiment of fiction somehow, they get to break out? In this, there's no clear-cut reason why that lasso breaks.
Well...
And she may be doubting herself or something like that.
Like, doubting, my and Paul's thought were, like, maybe she was... the truth of what she thought she was following with Superman wasn't real. Like something in her broke that denied the truth almost, which she does. I mean, she literally breaks. Like,
she doesn't look good. That's why we had to look it up.
It's
she
like
leaves.
It was a big deal. We're like, whoa, what happened here? There was like cataclysmic thing. Also, side note, and this is just a fun little fact here. Apparently, somewhere in the DC universe, Wonder Woman contained 2 atom bombs with the lasso of truth.
This is not a topic for this.
Yeah. However, it's just after our minutes and 5 minutes of Google, we just looked up lasso of truth. Oh, that's interesting. But yeah, anyway, so
fun fact.
Yeah, so there you go. The extra lasso of truth fact, if you so desired it. But yeah, so like she is in the story and she has like this just breakdown, and it's really creepy that it's like not focused on more and like it's effective, but
it's kind of cool that she basically just goes because she had left Paradise Island, I think is the name of the place she is at.
Themyscira.
Yeah,
Paradise
Themyscira. She leaves they call it Paradise Island because it's basically paradise. She leaves Paradise Island to help Superman, and then after this goes back to Paradise Island, and basically she's just like, screw you guys, and literally just lives on Paradise Island. Yeah, screw you guys, and lives on Paradise Island because she's like, well, I have paradise here, and I don't need to fix the rest of the world, so screw you, and just sits on Paradise Island, which is cool.
It's
Literally.
It's a great arc. Yeah.
Literally, that's what I would do. I'd just be like, well, whatever. See you later. Eventually Lex, I guess convinces her to help fight Superman in the last ditch effort, but, that's the only next time she comes back in the comic, and she doesn't really do anything else other than attack.
Speaking of that last ditch effort, another really awesome character that Hal Jordan shows up.
Yeah.
Apparently the alien that crash landed in Roswell, New Mexico, was a lantern. They recover the lantern in the ring. Lex Luthor figures out that the ring is only powered by essentially good people, which is why he can't use it himself.
Not good people,
he has to choose him.
Willpower.
Willpower, that's it.
Whatever the ring, the ring is run off something, I know it is.
Yes.
Lex didn't have the willpower to do so.
Yes. But then they find, the air captain, Hal Jordan or something.
Yeah, Hal Jordan, he was fighting for freedom, goes to I forget, Vietnam or something weird. Goes there, gets captured, and is literally tortured for 4 years, and that's why they pick him for willpower, because literally he's Lex is anybody else, he would have broken, he would have, he wouldn't have been a person anymore. But he had the willpower to literally, apparently in his mind made a concentration camp for the communists that were torturing him. And literally, he was saying because he was in there for 4 years, it was if it took 2 years to make the foundation, make the concentration camp, he took those 2 years. Every second was remade in his mind. And this was what led him to being the Green Lantern.
Yeah. Of all of the characters in this book who get, a dialogue other than obviously Superman and Lex, he's probably the most deep character that we get. 'Cause it's, that 3 or 4 pages of background on him is really, really he did this. He, day by day, brick by brick, built this camp and then murdered all of his captors. And then now he's here and he's leading
And now we're gonna give him the most powerful weapon in the world, because that's what I I was oh.
Cause America.
That's a little extreme, but I guess, whatever.
Yeah. And then apparently they clone the ring and give it to a bunch of other people, and they try and put, Superman in the glass box of emotion.
You use that joke
you
twice.
like that.
You can't use the same joke twice, that's terrible.
That's back to back now.
I'm sorry.
I
suck.
You over Anchorman at this point.
But no, I liked Hal Jordan's, design. But literally it's an air captain's outfit. And he's got the goggles and the wing, which was cool. I just liked it. It was very green. It was very cool. I liked it a lot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I thought it was cool that literally, apparently, cause to charge the ring, you have to say in blackest night,
in brightest day, in blackest night, no evil shall escape my sight. Let those who worship evils might be. Where my power granted was light. Yeah, great. Darn it! I had it till the name of the person.
Those words.
Blech.
But basically, apparently Lex just went through all the, I could just imagine somebody sitting there with a ring, pounding it into this lantern. He doesn't know that it's 7 words either. He had to literally just be dog, cat, ball, apple. And just say words. and then go through all the words in the, aardvark. And then after that go, aardvark, apple, aardvark, and just keep going until he got 7 words, and they were that free. It was just, or I forget how many words, but it was wow, that's an intense line of work.
Yeah, no, that's dedication. But
that's basically how he cracks the code on the lantern. I was just wow, that was.
I just kind of wish he had a bunch of interns to do it, because I feel like that'd be fun. It's a bunch of people with notebooks.
A.
Oh yeah, this is an alien thing. It could just be it could be sounds.
Who's to say it wasn't? Whatever. Who's to say it wasn't just an alien language? Whatever.
With a bunch of clicks and then you're done. Like Predator language, but just not. Ooh, Predators with power rings. That's
heavy.
That's terrifying.
Awesome. But yeah, no, that was Green Lantern was an interesting character, and then Superman beats the crud out of him.
For his arc, that's his arc.
I'm still stuck on Predators with power rings. I'm trying to figure out what the aliens would have.
Well, I mean, they could still have power ring. What your question is, what kind of power ring would the Predators and or the aliens have? I mean, I feel like, the aliens being bred only for being hunted would have, like, red for anger. Like, I feel like they'd have a lot of kemped up anger.
They don't have, like, they have acid stuff, though, already, so.
I don't know. It's a discussion for another. We'll read a Green Lantern book.
There you go. That's
and
our...
then have this conversation.
Discussion.
We all need to have an answer prepared when we read the Green Lantern book. That way we can discuss this.
Yes.
So when we get the Green Lantern, expect Alien versus Predator discussion. There we go.
There we go.
I like that. Beautiful.
Yeah, no, so we went over Green Lantern.
Mm-hmm.
Who else?
Wonder Woman, we did the big twist at the end.
The twist was just seriously booming.
Yeah,
I loved it.
yeah, it was great. I love that twist. That ending, it sold it for me.
I love, they have a museum. They have a museum, and also you get this, like, Lex Luthor threw all sorts of monsters at, or Superman. And Lex Luthor literally makes, like, all of Superman's villain, like, Doomsday's in there. I don't know how he made him, but he made Doomsday.
Parasite was in there.
Like, all of these, I mean, I didn't recognize all of them. I recognized Doomsday.
Yeah, I'm sure they're all
and a couple others, but they were all, they were all villains of Superman, which was cool. I thought it was a cool addition to the storyline.
Yeah, I think, we hit most of the main points, so I'm gonna go into my, I greatly enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. The only thing that kind of, the Batman subplot, as fun as that was, almost didn't need it, in a way. Like,
a lot of it felt shoehorned.
I guess, the cynic in me is like, DC putting Batman everywhere because they know that Batman will sell.
Yeah,
but,
I do get that.
But, the rest of it was really, like we said before, the Green Lantern arc fit, the Wonder Woman arc fit, Superman.
Is Bruce Wayne a happily living billionaire with his parents in America? Like, does Bruce Wayne still exist? He has parents. They didn't get shot, or maybe they did get shot. I mean, there was a civil war in America, but still, he's still in America doing something. Like, what's Bruce Wayne doing?
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be interesting. Yeah. Maybe it's just me. Who knows?
Yeah. It's a good question. I don't think they...
Yeah. Superman brainwashes people. It's kind of weird. After Batman dies, there's Batmans. Like, a lot of the freedom fighters become Batman. I'm gonna bring up points now that we've decided to stop the podcast.
No, it's fine. No.
But, he brainwashes all of them and has them clean his lair. And I was like, that's hilarious. I thought it was funny. I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah, no, there was a Justice League episode on TV, I think, where an alternate universe Superman, like, straight up he goes to Arkham Asylum, where all Batman's villains are just nuts, and that's like the big running theme, is that Batman's just a rich guy beating up crazy people. And he, like, lobotomizes all of them, like, with his heat vision. And it's just like, oh, okay, so I drew that in, I don't know if they straight up say that or not in the comic, but that's one of those things I always took it as, where I'm like, ooh, that's dark.
Huh.
They brainwash a lot of, cause, Pytor, or whatever his name is, also gets brainwashed, where, like he has a device on the side of his head, and they basically...
Yeah, Brainiac, designs, a brainwashing thing. That's how they beat Lex Luthor. It's like brainwashing implants.
Yeah, and then
that's the best way to describe it.
Yeah. They basically, they don't kill anybody, but yet again goes along with that storyline moral of, I'm gonna take away your freedom so you can have perfect paradise. Which is weird because there's an island of paradise, like in the middle of the ocean, filled only with women.
Lois Lane just goes...
I know, she goes there to help Lex, like, she's like, oh, by the way, are you fighting? If I was Lois Lane, I'd be like, hey, do you have an extra room? Like, a bed? Can I just, somewhere? I'm just saying, Lois Lane really should just leave Lex Luthor and stay on Paradise Island with all of the Amazons.
So, I liked it. This was a good comic.
I like the
Getting back on track.
I like the alternate universe. It is literally something that I thought about constantly was, well, what if Superman had different morals or was brought up differently? And that is literally what the book is. And it was great. And I love the twist ending. I don't know about anybody else, but I loved it.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed this book, because the whole idea of Superman is such an iconic and powerful comic book character, is they tend to try a lot of different ways of getting him in different situations, like what would happen if Superman was bad, or what would happen if Superman was evil, or what would, and it always goes right to evil, but this one was more of a, what if he was the same person and the same traits, but was raised with a different ideology that was against what he normally stood for, and I really liked that. And then what sold it for me was I didn't see that ending coming, but it worked really well.
Yes,
so,
as much as I complained, that ending worked awesome.
Yeah, like just the whole idea, like Luthor's, and it is shortened. We are all Superman. Okay, so,
Crazy.
it was good. I liked it.
I'm again going to be the one who says I'm not 100% on it. However, I liked it. It wasn't the greatest, but I liked it. A lot of the stuff, a lot of the ideology stuff was really cool. A lot of the parallels that they drew started to annoy me. A lot of the, in another universe, this might have happened, or if only he would have been 12 hours later, or, I could love this woman, but not this universe. Maybe so. It went on and on and on and on and did that.
It was the first 3 pages where it was
the first 10 pages,
I'm
and then it
positive
stopped.
that if I knew more about Superman, there's gotta be more in there. There has to be.
Yeah, but the fact that it wasn't as in your face. There were a couple in the first couple pages. Yeah, but that was establishing its mission statement. Like, it was saying what this book was going to be about, so...
And then, like you guys were saying, the inclusion of Batman. While Batman was amazing, didn't need to be there.
Yeah, he was...
While Wonder Woman was awesome, didn't need to be there.
I liked Wonder Woman's story arc.
Her
I
arc
really
was
enjoyed
really
it.
good.
Yeah, Batman seemed like... I feel like literally Pytor, or whatever his name was, could have done that himself.
Yeah.
Without getting Batman involved. So it would have just been like, no, there's not a Batman.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cool to see him. Like, it is really cool to see him, just in the same way it's cool to see Green Lantern.
Yeah.
But it was, Wonder Woman had a much
Green Lantern
more
was the next one I was gonna say. A lot of these extra cameos felt very shoehorned in. The only people who didn't, Lex Luthor was obviously had a mainstay. All of the characters that he created to fight Superman, Bizarro and stuff like that, they were there for 3 seconds and left, but they at least had hey, I made this, he's gonna fight Superman. Green Lantern, I made this, he's in there to fight Superman. Batman definitely didn't need to be there, and it was definitely hey, we put Batman in this book, go buy it. Although Batman was awesome, so at the same point, I want to complain about it being unnecessary, but that was my favorite part of the book, was Batman. Be that as it may, I will recommend this book to everyone except me, just because I'm weird like that. I'm not a big...
Except you read it, so why would you... You
I'm
can't
aware.
recommend it
Yes.
to yourself.
Yes. I know I have a differing taste than everyone else, and I know that everyone else will generally enjoy this book. I'm not a big Superman fan, and I also apparently hate things that other people love.
Yeah, see, like, to put this in perspective, on the top of Brian's Marvel movie list is Thor 2, which is generally near
Thor
the
2
bottom.
is the best Star
near the
Wars movie
bottom.
we're going to get in a good long time.
It's near the bottom of everybody else's list, where he also, like, Brian's list, like, if you flipped your list, that's Brian's list. Like, that is anything that happens, good. So just to let you know.
Yeah, think of your favorite Marvel movies. Think of your least favorite. Switch those two. You have Brian's list. Also, I just had to ask, do you recommend stuff to yourself after you read them, like, frequently?
Well, I mean, like, for instance, I wouldn't keep this on a shelf of mine. Like, I would get rid of this, I would sell this.
If my planet was to be dying, and the red sun was about to explode, and I had a time machine, and I'd go back in time,
I'd
and
tell
then
myself
start
not to
Communist
read
America,
this
I would
book.
tell myself not to read this book. That's
Okay,
what I would.
alright.
But no, like, I wouldn't keep this for my collection. If I had bought this, I would give it to somebody else. I would loan this out. I wouldn't keep it on my shelf of things that I would keep. Like, it wouldn't stay in my collection. This would be something that would be tossed away in like a clean out or something like that, or given away to a library or something like that. It's not something that I personally would keep for me, but it's something that I think other people should read.
You get really defensive.
If any of you want really good books, go to Brian, and he'll probably be cleaning his room at some point, and we'll hand you something amazing.
While telling you it's terrible. So.
Just pointing it out.
Okay.
No, yeah. A good good, but I wouldn't recommend it to myself. So everybody here pretty much likes it.
That's
so you should read it.
That's 3 thumbs up. Yes.
Yeah.
All right, everybody says you should read it.
Yes.
Just don't recommend it to Brian.
Yes,
Don't
because
email
he's
us
already
that.
recommended it to himself and he said no. So.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's going to do it for us this time. But if you hop in your Elseworld time machine, you can find us on Facebook at As Someone Who Doesn't Read Comics. If you're on the Twitter, you can go ahead and follow us at I Don't Read Comics. Maybe we'll get on there and post something.
I posted videos.
And then afterwards, you can email us your suggestions to idon'treadcomics@gmail.com. We really want to hear from you guys. Email us stuff. We'll read it. We'll go find it. I'll complain about it. That's how this works.
Yeah, he will complain about it.
Yes, just don't recommend things you love.
Yeah, but recommend stuff you hate, because who knows? Maybe you'll find one person.
Brian will like
Brian will love it. Oh, dear.
But other than that, I think that's gonna bring us home. This has been As Someone Who Doesn't Read Comics.
And as always, the book was better.